I don't know if it's true for all of us, but some of us really want to please our moms. And my mom loves flowers, and I really don't like painting flowers. So I thought I would try once more to enjoy it. And I propose that we use ink to paint, to draw, and then paint flowers. We're going to start with a daisy, and I have the outside of the petals and the inside of the flower, whatever it's called. And I'm starting that with pencil just as a guide, because honestly, all right, I find I find it hard to keep it even. So let's do directly in ink some petals. Let's have some a little bit smaller and some a little bit overlapping, just like they actually do in real life. Right? I mean, the shape is pretty easy. To make it visually pleasing is a different story. That's my challenge. So, you know, we want a little bit of randomness, and I know that randomness is hard for the human mind. So this, by the way, it's a Pentel 0.5. This is water resistant, fade resistant, pigment based. Yeah, pigment ink fine liner. So it's very good quality. This one is also good quality. It's thicker though. Oh, whoops. No, this is not at all what I meant to show you. Oh. All right. Pause. Back. What happened is John started sketching last summer, and that was great. I was very happy that he started sketching. But it did mean that I gave him all my pens that I brought with me, because I wasn't really using them anyways. But now I thought I had some, but I didn't. Luckily, at TJ Maxx, I bought a whole bunch of these, and one of them is black. And so now this is thicker. Let me see if I can show you. Yeah, so this is 0.1. And it's like this. And this one, it's too cheap to have a number, but it's clearly thicker. So it's useful to have a thicker one. So that your petals can have more of a, I don't know, we don't want it to look like a coloring book. Or maybe you do, I don't know, but I don't. And so I like a little bit of variety in the line, and something that overlaps and doesn't quite reach, or reaches a little bit more. I don't know how to explain it, but I like to go over it with a thicker, even though it's not that thick, but it's not quite as thin as the other. Okay? Now would be a good time to let this dry and erase. I will do that eventually. But it's also fun to just do work with the center a little bit random rounds. Leave it lighter where it's brighter, so it will give it a sense of dimension. If you have darker around the edges, that is more of these thingies, and leave this area white, but getting there with a few, not just suddenly white, but like see what I mean? And then a little bit more here. Before I do anything else, I'm going to erase these. But to give it a little bit more time to dry, let's choose what colors we want to use. Probably keeping it simple with some, I'll put my most used colors here. Oh, I know what. I have that Realgar, that is that very fancy pigment that some patrons got. And some, this yellow is a, what's it called? Zirconium yellow, I think. Anyways, it's a very pale, cool yellow that I actually like better than lemon. Why? Because even though it's cool, it's not, doesn't veer to green quite so much. Now, my vanish eraser, there's not a lot to erase because remember we didn't draw the petals in pencil first. The only pencil is here and around the center here. So that's good. This is, by the way, one of those Japanese postcards. All right, so now to make it a little bit more realistic, first of all, I could darken now that I don't have to go back with, it always stresses me to have a lot of ink when I know that I'm gonna have to go in with the eraser, because you never know. I've been burned before. So, but now we don't have to worry about that because there's no erasing that's going to happen. I kind of like it. So let's hope I don't mess it up more. So again, I'm using the ink to indicate light and dark, right? So it's going to be a little bit darker towards the center because there's more the petals are closer together, so there's more shadow. So I'm indicating that with a thicker line. Because I'm not, this is a white flower, and so, and we're gonna keep the watercolor minimal. So maybe where the petals meet, you might wanna go a little bit darker, where there's overlap. Okay, then I'm going to take, again, that thinner, the 0.5, and do some, do some veins in the petals because they may be a little bit folded. See how this is thinner, so it's showing up better, as even though it's not the kind of pen like brush pens that really give, or even fountain pens give you more options, but this one does too, because if you kind of use it like a brush. You're releasing the weight that you put on it at different speeds, and therefore, or with different strengths rather, not speed, different pressure. And so as the pressure becomes lighter, so does the line. And I like to go from down to up, so I'm moving the paper around. And I gotta stop before it goes a little bit nuts. We could do that here too, at the top a little bit, wherever there's an opportunity, because I should have left more rugged edges, but there's enough here to allow us to do some of this. See where there's an opening? I could pretend there's a broken petal. Again, I'm giving different amounts of pressure. I hope you'll be doing many different flowers. If there's a flower in particular that you'd like me to try and do in this style in a video, let me know. All right. So see how there's like a nice variety of lines that I think variety is the spice of life. And in this kind of thing, you don't want too much symmetry, or I think that's what's beautiful about natural objects, is that they're not as geometrical. Sometimes they are, but a lot of people find buildings, say, hard to draw because you kind of have to be precise, because the building will fall if it's not precise. But with natural objects, that's not so much the case. So now, what I want to do, I'm pretty sure it's dry. You could test a little bit. Oh, maybe not. Or you know what? Ooh, I didn't test whether this is waterproof. Silly me. I bet it isn't. All right. You know what? If that's the case, what we could do, I was going to do a little wet into wet, but yeah, it's not. Look. And it doesn't even look black anymore. It looks purple. Well, let's use that to our advantage. And we may have to change. So we could use it like this. Instead of wet into wet, just let it bleed a little bit and create an even better shading. Now, if I had known, I would not have done the center, because once this is called troubleshooting, or that beautiful American saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. This is actually quite pretty, but I'm trying to think how to get that yellow center, because if I use yellow paint, I'm going to come up with a messy mud. trick here is when to stop because it's so fun. I am going to have fun with these from TJ Maxx because I have all kinds of colors. And granted, these are not going to be waterproof. I mean, not light fast. They're still going to be beautiful. For the center, let's do a dry medium instead. So instead of the paints that I was going to use, I will use this beautiful, this is a Conte à Paris that I bought in Paris. It's a pastel pencil. You can use any kind of pencil. So a little bit of yellow. And I also have this, that's a little bit orange for the edges. So this has become, instead of ink and wash, it's become ink, wash, and pastel, mixed media. It's actually rather beautiful. I think, I know I shouldn't say it about my own work, but I'm just so happy. And then if you lose some of these and you want to reclaim them, you can do this. Because watercolor would have been transparent, but pastel is not. Now, another thing that one could do, stopping here is an excellent idea. However, if you want to keep being experimental, you could do a black background or a dark blue background. And I'm doing this. I'm not going to do like the entire thing, and we have, so it'll be like, I want to say ombre, the way people say about hair, but it will fade out. And I will use, let's see, what's a good dark? I'll usually like to mix my blues. So now I'll do Tyrian purple, cobalt Tyrian purple. Because this is still going to bleed, right? Doing plenty of water so I don't lose it, so it doesn't dry. But as you can see, I haven't touched the edges yet because I don't know, I don't want it to start bleeding and then lose it. All right. So here we go. It's called cobalt Tyrian purple because it's an imitation Tyrian purple. Actual Tyrian purple was in antiquity, and still today, if you want, if you don't mind, and if you don't mind spending a small fortune, Kramer does have the actual pigment that comes from a seashell in the Mediterranean, and that's in ancient Rome, that's what they used to tint the most important cloth of the emperors. It takes a lot of dead mollusks to make a little bit of this color, so it's incredibly expensive. And I don't know, I eat meat, so, and I use leather. It's not as if I'm an animal rights activist, but painting with animals I'm not so crazy about. And I know I've made cochineal before, and I have some that my daughters brought to me from Mexico, and I appreciate the tradition, but I'd rather not. Thank you. Not if I can help it. I'm still going to use what I have because it'd be silly not to. But I'm not going to go out of my way to buy more. Because this is based on cobalt, it granulates. So I'm adding a bunch of water, even though this paper does not love a lot of water, but I want to encourage the granulation. And then I want it to kind of end loosely. So here we go. Watercolor, well, pencil first, then pen. Then we discovered that one of the pens is not waterproof. So then we used some see some of it is drying much faster because I was careful not using a lot of water, but then it doesn't look so good. I want what in watercolor in art it's called counter change, that is a big contrast of light and dark. So anyways, pencil, pen, wash from the pen, pastel pencil, you can use any kind of color pencil, and watercolor for the background. So this was both a flower and an exercise in troubleshooting when your material is not what you thought it was. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you give it a try. And I hope I stop fiddling with this. Thank you for watching.